Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vassell and Sam Healy.
Don't turn off the video! Seriously!
I know this looks boring.
Hey, look! First of all, an apology.
Hang on for a few minutes.
An apology to the publishers from me. I've had this game for months and months. And I've been bringing it to meetups for a very long time. And every time people looked at the box, they said, do we really want to play that? And I'd say, you know, not really.
We are cattle. We do judge books by their covers.
So I finally, from some people that I trusted, they said, you really got to play this game. I said, all right, fine. I'm getting it to the table. And I did. Let's take a look at how the game plays, and then you'll see whether we like it or not. In Masters of Commerce, half the people in the game are landlords and the other half are merchants, and you can decide that randomly. There's a whole, I mean, look at all this paper money that we didn't use. We actually used poker chips because I hate paper money. But there's a pile of paper money, and the object of this game is for one person who's a landlord to have the most money, and the other person who's the merchant to have the most money. So there's actually two winners in the game. If there's an odd number of players, there are more merchants than there are landlords. Now, landlords are going to start with 3 properties. There's 4 different colors of properties, and you can start with any of those. It's basically kind of wild what properties that you get. So you might have gotten a green one. You might get 3 green ones. That's up to you. And so everybody has those, while each merchant is going to choose one of these chips to represent themselves. So maybe I choose the oil rig. You then take a bag and you have all those chips in that bag, and you're going to have those in the bag because you're going to probably be moving around the table. This is a real-time strategy game, and in the first, there's 5 years, and in the first part of each year, you are going to turn over a 2-minute timer, and all the landlords and all the merchants are going to start making deals simultaneously. So I might say, look, I'll rent this from you for $15, and the guy says, no, you know, and then everyone's going back and forth. But if I do agree for $15, we put that there, and the landlord will write on it $15. These are erasable markers, and it comes off. And he might sell the red to somebody else for $20. And then I managed to get this one from him also for $20. So I pull that one from him, and we go around the table, and this keeps happening for 2 minutes until all the properties are sold off or till time runs out. After time runs out, we're going to roll these 4 dice. Now, these 4 dice have to do with these property values here. I want you to notice that each property value here starts at 30, but they have a very different range. You can see the blue one, the worst it can get is 20, and the best it can get is 40, while the red one can go down to -20 and up to 70. So this is for the merchants only. The merchants are going to make money from each property that they're on. And these dice have different ranges on them too. The red one goes from +7 to -7, so basically it can go anywhere. While the blue one, it can go from -1 to +1, so the blue one's going to move very slowly, if at all. So I roll these dice and see what happens. The red one goes to +7, so that one goes all the way up to 70. The yellow one got a -1, so it goes down 1. The green one got a 0, doesn't move, and the blue one got a -1, so it goes down 1. So I say, ooh, so I look over at my properties. The blue one gets me 20, and the yellow one gets me 0. So I get $20, and now I need to pay $35 in rent. Fortunately, you start with some money, but it is possible that you can't pay your rent on the turn because you didn't make enough money, and that's very possible. Then you have a lien placed on you, and if that happens to you twice, you're out of the game. Now, the game's only 5 rounds, so it's not a huge killer, but that's how the game works. And so you can see that you can bet big in red and yellow because they're going to fluctuate more and can get you a lot of money, but you can also lose money on those, while green and blue are more of a safe bet, but at the same time, the landlords know that, so the negotiation will go back and forth. Now, after this happens, each landlord then collects all their rent from everybody, and that's how they get their money. And then they have to pay $10 for each property they own. So they have to be cautious not to charge too little for their properties because they could also go bankrupt. And so once they're done doing that, then there's a little auction phase. And the rules don't actually tell you what kind of auction to use. You could use free form, go around the table once, blind bidding, I don't know. But some more properties will be turned over, and they'll be auctioned off one at a time. But there's a few properties that will offer double rewards to the merchant who goes there. So people are going to want to go to these higher. These can be worth more. So after the auction's over, players will have some more properties in front of them, and everybody takes these chips back, and another round starts again. And you keep going, and after 5 rounds, the merchant who has the most money wins, and the landlord who has the most money wins. Now, there's a few other advanced rules you could play, where it's possible to close one, where no more negotiations can be put on that, or where you can have an exclusive property because you have the most of a certain color. But I actually think the game works best at it with just its base rules, like what I just showed you. Do you like Pit? Do you like games where everybody's screaming and yelling at the same time?
No.
Well, if you do, I think you'll like Masters of Commerce because it feels like a bit more complicated version of Pit in a sense. And it's definitely one that's very group dependent. This is a strong negotiation game, and there's a lot of money. The way the two different people play, the banker versus, the landlord versus the merchant, is very different. The merchant's all about speculation. Okay, I speculate this, 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 and this, and I got to convince people to give me their stuff as cheap as possible so that when I get burned on speculation, which may or may not happen, I can pay them off. The landlord's trying to figure out how much money he can get from people to make sure he gets the most, but at the same time, doesn't get undercut by everybody else who's given better deals.
Right.
The negotiation phase is super crazy, especially if you have outspoken people, of which I am one. Although I am not the most outspoken person.
No, you're not.
We have one guy in the game group who throws chips across the table. And
yelling. He's one into the room. Hey, I'll do this here! Wow.
But you know what? I really would love to take this to an economics class and put kids in different groups around the room. And then say, go, and have 11 different teams running back and forth, because the game would work that way.
Yeah,
it would be crazy. Okay, is there anything about this game that you didn't like? Because I have something, but you can go first.
That we didn't like? I think it does have... well, I think I and my partner won the game. See, there's not actually supposed to be partners.
There's no partners in this game.
But I and my partner won this game because I think inadvertently at first, but by the end of the game, we were definitely just going to each other and sharing each other's property. And I would basically tell him, listen, I'll buy this many things. I'll buy all of your properties for this much. You want to get this much, and this is how much I'll get for you. And he's like, okay. And then some guy, the guy that was on the other cross of the room, would yell, hey, you can't do that! And so we ended up winning the game because we basically teamed up.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I would counter that by saying, if you take chances, as the merchant anyway, you can really do well if it pans out for you. Because when one of my games, on turn 3, I took a chance and it bombed on me. I lost all my money except $20,000. On the very last turn of the same game, I had managed to get some extra money, and I took a chance and I bought everything that was of the most crazy values, the reds, and wow, it panned out. And I didn't win, but
the only reason it did pan out is because you got lucky on the die roll.
Yeah, but see, I love the fact that I can gamble like that.
Yeah.
It's not the whole game. Gambling won't guarantee you the game. I think it's gambling plus canny negotiation.
Yeah. What I would say and what I was going to say is, don't be fooled by the reds and the yellows. Stick with the greens and the blues.
Come on, man, live it on the wild side.
Who won the game? That's all I gotta say.
Okay, the one thing I don't like about the game is I hate paper money. And in this game, money can be passed around like crazy.
Yeah, we didn't.
Now we replaced paper money with poker chips, and we're fine and good. But paper money, especially in a game where it's being just all over the place.
Yeah.
It's really good, I think, that the game has 2 winners. Yes. A landlord and a merchant. And I like that fact because I really think it would be hard for a landlord to win against the merchants, because the merchant... Well, no, but...
Landlords had... The landlord that won had almost $100 grand more than I did.
Well, I understand that, but Okay, well, maybe not. But, I mean, at the same time, well, maybe then...
I was thinking the other way around. I was thinking that it's going to be really difficult for a merchant to win the game if he had to win by himself.
Well, either way, here's the deal. This box cover, guys, redo it.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge this book by its
This looks really boring, and yet this was one of the most exciting, fun games I've played in a long time. I'm giving this one 2 huge, screaming thumbs up. I can't believe how much fun it was. I really didn't expect it to be that enjoyable, but once it gets going, and at the first couple turns you'd be like, can I rent that for $15? And good sir, would you? But after a while you're like, $15, I'll rent that one. I mean, really, that's what it gets like, because you got to be fast. It's all straight negotiation.
It is
It's crazy.
The more properties you get, the more money you're going to pull in as the merchants. So the one thing that I didn't really like about the game is that there's an entire phase where it's just the landlord's doing something, and then the merchants are just sitting there.
Yeah, the auction phase, but I don't know. I was interested to know who got what property. So I was watching that and hoping that they would bid it higher, and it wasn't that long.
Well, there's 5 different properties every turn that get auctioned off, and if there's a lot of bidding going on for those properties, that can take a long time, and you're just sitting there doing nothing. I mean, that's just nothing but downtime.
Yeah, well.
So it's not a huge factor, and if you're not a merchant, it doesn't affect you.
What is the time there in the box? It's 30 to 45 minutes. I think 45 minutes to an hour is pretty accurate, though. It's not that long of a game.
No.
But it feels longer than it is because you're so.
I would say average. I would say average playtime is probably around an hour, because that auction phase can go long or it could be very short. So I would say it's about an hour average playtime.
Well, what kind of thumbs are you giving it?
I'm going to go ahead. Well, I'm not as enthusiastic about you. Remember
about me? Thank you.
As you, rather. Sorry. At the beginning of this end segment for this game, he asked the question, "Do you like Pit?" And I said no. I don't like games that you're wildly, loudly chaotic for a while. But I do like this game. This has a little bit more, I can't say meat. I guess just a little bit more fun to it.
Well, no, there is more meat to this, because in Pit you're just trading. Here you have to be canny and say, okay, this is the price I'm giving.
Right.
I can't just sell this property for $5 when I'm going to pay $10 on it.
Right. Exactly. So this has better meat to it. I guess we'll go with that. And that's why I do like this, and I don't necessarily like Pit. I'll give this 1.5 thumbs up. I'm not as enthusiastic about as Tom is, but I do enjoy it. I will readily and enthusiastically play it again.
Masters of Commerce.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.